What's good, Josh? I'm Akai, and welcome back to my channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications too. Today we're going to be talking about who I think has the most to prove in the NBA bubble. And to start off, my first player is LeBron James. And LeBron James has a lot to prove in the bubble because for all of his career, he stayed in the East. Certain people on TV, Skip Bayless, called it the Eastern Conference and said it was easy, and that the 8 straight finals wasn't impressive because it was in the East, and 3-6 and all that nonsense. But now he has to prove that he can go to the West, go to the finals, compete in the West, and win a championship there. So I know LeBron doesn't care about proving the naysayers and the haters wrong, but I know it's gonna feel good for him to win in the West just at least one time in his career, just to show that he could. Because I'm pretty sure in his mind he always knew that he could, but he just never did because it never made sense for his career at the time. Now my next player who has a lot to prove is Anthony Davis, and I say he has a lot to prove because he had the Lakers trade most of their entire young core just to get him there. And imagine if all that was in vain and that they can't seal the deal this year. Because you see how ugly it was last year when he left New Orleans. He was sitting out games. He was wearing cryptic T-shirts, and he really just sat out until they traded him to the team of his desire. Now, if he can produce in the playoffs at a consistent rate, and play defense especially at a consistent rate, then he would have proved what he needed to prove. That all he needed was to be on a contender with a good helping cast. But if he can't prove that, then all that trade and sitting out and cryptic T-shirts would have been for nothing. Now my next player that has a lot to prove is Russell Westbrook, and I say he has a lot to prove because he hasn't gotten out of the first round of the playoffs in a couple years. And even after they traded some players on the old OKC team for Paul George, he still couldn't get out of the playoffs. Out of the first round. So now that he's in Houston, and Houston got rid of their big man to complement his game, because now they got 5 people around the perimeter, and he can drive and kick or just drive and finish. So they really made it as easy as possible for him to, play his game. And, he can shoot those mid-range that he loves to shoot. But if he can't go to the finals and win the championship, then it really shows that it was him all this time, and that KD should have never been blamed for anything that happened at OKC, besides, choking in 2016. But now this brings me to my next player who has a lot to prove, and that is James Harden. James Harden is a 36-point-per-game scorer. They traded Chris Paul. They somehow, got somebody to take on that massive contract, and, they brought in Russell Westbrook. And they also got rid of the son of the James Harden, so now he can drive and kick. Also, he has a lot of space to, isolate and cook somebody up. So if he can't, him and Westbrook can't go to the finals together, and I think that all that trade and, small ball, going all in on small ball, would have been for nothing. It would have just been in vain. And now my next player that has a lot to prove in the bubble is Damian Lillard. And, this is the day after. I'm recording this the day after, that nonsense with Pat Bev and Paul George. That was hilarious. But yeah, I say he has a lot to prove because last year he was just in the Western Conference Finals. And now this year he's fighting for a playoff spot. It really doesn't make any kind of sense at all. So now he has to prove that he can fight and claw his way into the playoffs and compete in the first round, most likely against the Lakers. Not most likely, definitely against the Lakers. So it's really about proving that last year wasn't a fluke, or any year they progressed wasn't a fluke. Giannis Antetokounmpo also has a lot to prove in the bubble this year because last year, after what the Raptors did to him and how they took away a chance at potentially a ring for him, he has a lot to prove because all we've seen him in the playoffs is that if you build a wall in the paint and don't let him do that 2-step dunk thing he always do, or spin, and you put bodies on him and put bodies in the paint, he's effectively useless and he can't step up without a jump shot. So if this year he can step up, take over games when necessary, don't let a certain kind of defense stop him, and maybe facilitate a little bit more, then I feel that he'll prove that he's the best, if not one of the best players in the NBA. And not he's already one of the best players. I'm talking top 2, top 3, because on my list he's about number 4 on the list. But this might put him into, top 2, top 3, maybe in the top 1 on the list. I don't know. Now, another player that has a lot to prove is Jimmy Butler. Now, I'm not saying he has to, win a championship or, even go to the finals. But if he left Philadelphia to go to his own team and get that max contract just to not even go deep into the playoffs, then it seemed like he would have been better off in Philly. And I know he's scared of TJ Warren right now. Not scared, but I know you see TJ Warren and what he's doing right now, and they play on Monday, so that's gonna be something to watch. But yeah, that's the end of this video. That's all the players I think have a lot to prove in the NBA bubble. And to be honest, this is some of the best basketball I've seen in a while in the NBA. And I feel like, these players haven't played basketball in a lot of months. So it seems like they just, very hungry and, dying to compete. Like even last night, the Mavs versus the Bucks game was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. But anyway, if you stay to the end of the video, thank you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.